All right, so I want to thank everybody for joining us on this episode of Situation Updates live chat series. My name is JP Shimon and I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Of course, this episode, we are talking about surviving suicide. Yeah? And with me tonight is our soon to be published Vincentian author, Mrs. Camelle Cato-Holder, or is it Holder Cato?
Cato-Holder.
Cato-Holder. All right. And of course, she's a registered nurse. All right. We'll get into a little bit about that when she introduces herself in a little bit. And my most favorite mental health hygienist, Miss Ellica Matthews. How are you doing, Ellica?
Good night, everybody. I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
All right, beautiful. We're gonna go and pay some homage to our partners who help to make each and every one of our live chats possible, rather our situation updates possible. And we'll come right back with our guests. You'll hear a whole lot more from them as we continue to share. Call somebody up, share this live, get somebody else on here because you're gonna learn a few things tonight. All right, guys? We'll be right back. And of course, we can't continue and not shout out Diamond Groceries Incorporated. You know, they got 2 branches out here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? One in Caliacon, the other in Diamond. If you're going to do supermarket, please make it a Diamond Groceries experience. Yeah? Camille, let me start with you. Please jump on in, introduce yourself, say goodnight to the folks. Let them know a little bit about you, please.
Good night. First, I must thank God for this day. Thank for the comfort and the strength that He has given us thus far, as we get to understand part of why we really having the session. My name is, as the host introduced me earlier, and thank you, Gibson, for having me on as well. And good night to Miss Matthews. Good night to the listening audience. So I just want to tell you a bit about myself. And I'm originally from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the sister to Camelle Cato. I'm the second of 3 children, and out of 3 children, sorry. And I am a married woman with 1 son, and I am a nurse as well. I'm a registered nurse and soon to be author. I'm a coach, mentor, you can name it. I'll let you know as time goes by the different things about myself otherwise. I'm excited and yet sad to be here on the program. It's not something I ever really take part much in. And as you know, I would have lost my sister, Camelle Cato, and we're the family, my mom, my dad, my brother, we are still grieving, and we know it's not an easy time for us at this time, as much as, God give us the comfort, but in the flesh, we still feel, we still still having we're still grieving. We feeling the guilt, we're feeling everything. What more could we be done and all that? So we're still grieving. So as I say, it's just it need time for healing, and not gonna be a quick fix. So I'm as I say, I'm just thankful and happy but sad. I'm here. So
That's quite understandable. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. And we will continue to share a bit of your story as we go along. Miss Matthews, introductions, please.
So my name is Ellica Matthews. As stated before, I am a counselor at the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. I also do counseling at one of the medical student universities here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I try to spend my time as much as possible advocating for mental health and issues as they relate to mental health. I used to do mental health videos, like short think pieces that would get persons thinking about their mental health and mental care. I want to get back to it soon, but being on the COVID task force, it has created quite a very busy and not enough time. But I'm hoping that I would be able to get back to it because it's something that I really want to do, get awareness out there for mental health and mental health related issues.
Awesome. So I'm not too far off when I call you my most favorite mental health hygienist. She said to me earlier, I don't know where to get these talks from. But guys, tonight I thought it best as here on Situation Updates, we continue to celebrate Vincentian resilience, to sort of delve into surviving suicide. And Camille, you mentioned it earlier. You lost your sister, Camelle Cato, and for the folks who may not be aware, Camelle is, as far as I know, our most recent suicide victim here on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I stand to be corrected. I don't know if any other such incidents have happened since. But when that news broke, we were able to sit with your mother and record and a very extensive interview and share that interview. And a few persons reached out with stories of their own. And having heard what they had to share, and I was actually hoping that somebody else would have joined us tonight to also be a part of this conversation. I really thought, let's take it to the public because there really seems to be a need for this particular conversation. Camille, if you can walk us through your appreciation of what was going on with your sister before it came to that point. If you can take us there, and then we will come from there and move the conversation forward for a little bit, please.
Okay. All right. My dearly beloved sister, she is a lot of emotions to it, as I said too. She was well loved, and she was a very special young lady. I know she, at a tender age of 15, she came out of school. She just felt like she just had it. She came out of school, and from there, she, during that, just around after that time, she suffered a mental breakdown. And it was not that easy, even when having to take her to the doctor and was told that she was diagnosed. Pretty much, it wasn't something that we really took that easily. Through it all, ups and downs, different times she would be hospitalized at some point, depends on the extent, her condition at the time. Sometimes she may be having to be hospitalized, or there are times she having to be medicated, But through it out, in her good times, she was pretty much, as I said, she was really loved. She was one of the persons quite popular around. A lot of people would know that she was, she was a very nice young lady, apart from having to suffer the breakdown. But through that phase, and up to just before she died, I mean, she was not in in any any okay, what I will not say at that time she was displaying any signs of being you know being that sick to the extreme. She was not displaying that much to me, because we talk basically all the time. So leading up to this, I know she voiced some different concerns, some different, and with the pandemic, we do go through a lot. It may not just be for her, but we do have our different different challenges as the pandemic arised. Job, and we know she was not employed, so basically I was one of her supporter, along with my father and my mother. So, not working really, that too would have had some of what was really happening, had a lot of bit of tension, and knowing that she has a child as well. So, other factors, wanting, different things she wanted to really, because she was an independent type as well. She wants to have her own independence. She wasn't the kind that like to be too dependent. So I more or less understand to the extreme what she was going through. So even though she may have had depression, or even though whatever she may be going through, it could have happened to, these things could happen to anyone. It's not everyone deal with it or cope with it in the way that we should or will want to. So her up to her time, it, different things may have lead up to what really, caused her to take her life at that time.
Okay. Ellica, I want to bring you in here. What role, as far as you understand it, does one's mental health play in terms of having you decide to take your own life?
Well, your mental health, it plays a very big role. First of all, your mental health determines most of the things that you do on an everyday basis. So it's not just a person deciding to take your own life. Depending on your mental health, that's going to help you to make the decision. Am I going to get up this morning? Am I going to take a shower? Am I going to eat? Everything that you do is going to be based on your mental health, your mental wellness. And then when your mental health starts to decline, moving into mental illness on different spectrums, that can be what influences you. So you can look at mental health on a spectrum being mental health on one side, mental illness on the other side, and people basically, they move across the spectrum when you start to see a decline with them. And like Camille would have stated, there are different things that can factor in as it relates to your mental health, because there are going to be persons who have those more severe illnesses where there's a chemical imbalance in your brains, those kind of things, and then there are going to be situational things. So things that are going to frustrate you to the point that you want to take your own life. There are going to be the things like the abuse, bad social situations, not having anybody, not being able to take care of your family, things like that. And like we said, COVID-19, the pandemic, it has been really stressful on a lot of persons. So if you're not doing well in that instance, it can further add to the decline of your mental health, where persons may come to the decision that I am going to take my own life.
Yes.
Are there any signals that as relatives, friends, people who care really, that we should look out for,
So there are different signals that a person can look out for. There is going to be how they talk, how they behave, and their general output, their mood. So they might say that exact thing, that I am going to kill myself. And sometimes that's something that we often overlook when persons say it. It's like, oh no, I don't think you're going to. But one, they can say they're going to kill themselves. They can talk about feeling hopeless, talking about not having any purpose in their life. They don't know why they're here. They can say things like they have no reason to live. They don't want to be a burden to other persons. They feel trapped in what they're doing. They're feeling unbearable pain, feeling stuck, not wanting to exist, things like that. And then you have the behavior that they might engage in. So gathering the necessary tools that they're going to use to take their own life, whether it be getting a razor, getting medication. So you see them gathering medication in big bulk. So let's say they go into the pharmacy and they're picking up bottles upon bottles of medication. And it might be the same of everything. So like one person go in and they pick up about 20 bottles of paracetamol. Or they buy Gramazone and they don't have an explanation for why they need it. They can increase their alcohol or drug use, and you find that they start to get very reckless with their use. So they're just drinking so much. They're not drinking with chaser, different things like these, and engaging in risky behavior. So having multiple sex partners, endangering themselves, not paying attention to the people that they're going out with. So they might decide, okay, I'm going to go with X, and this is the first time that they're meeting them, and they just have no concern for themselves or their safety. Withdrawing from activities that they would have previously enjoyed. Sleeping too much or too little. So basically not engaging in things that would make them productive in today's society. Giving away their possessions. So, they have this one thing that they love. So let's say, for instance, they have a piece of jewelry. They always have it on. They don't take it off for anything, not to shower, not for anything. And then one day you find that they just take it off and they say, you can have it. Things like these, things that shows sign of finality, and that they have no intention of coming back. And this can be related to issues such as depression, anxiety, mood swings, things like these. So, and for persons who suffer from a mental illness, depending on the mental illness that they're suffering from, that can be a contributor as well. So for depression, suicide can be a symptom of. So it may not necessarily be that that person just has suicidal ideation. It can be a symptom of a much larger issue. So for depression, suicide is one of the symptoms that you would look out for, and that is something that you would get medication for. Things like that. Persons who are bipolar, when they swing into the depressive part of it, that is something that can be there as well.
Thank you so very much. I'm trying to, okay, so it works that way too. I'm still learning StreamYard for a little bit. Don't mind me. Camille, you are a registered nurse. You've had the training for a while. Have you encountered any similar situations in your professional life as you knew it in your personal life?
Yes, I did. Earlier when I was working in St. Vincent, and while I worked in Bermuda as well, I did encounter patients. And oftentimes when they're like that, I try to offer them some comfort, some reassurance, sometimes, even reach out to even pray with them, wherever they need the counseling, we ensure that, I try to advocate for them to ensure that they get the care that they will need at that time.
Are you satisfied that Chanel was able to access the sort of care that she needed?
I would say yes. The fact that she is able to get the care there, it was good. And I will always encourage cases like that, cases like for my sister, not just for my sister, but generally. We generally need follow-ups, and follow-ups not just only with medications, but I think sometimes there are much more happening. Yes, there may be training center, you go out and you do different skills, but there are different things that we do, persons do encounter, and sometimes we don't have that listening ear. So really, yes, it to an extent, I think she got the help, and with us family wise, she did get the support 100%. Most of it, we try to ensure that she didn't really have to push herself to walk much. And at times I feel I used to really walk to really make sure that she's happy. And that was one of my, I felt I just wanted her to be happy. That was one of my biggest thing in regards to my sister. I really do love her. And I'll go out and beyond. And I know my family, my parents did likewise, to make sure that she get the best, But as I say, help wise, yes, the help was there to the extent, but it will be good too where there are cases where you have, just just let them pay your visit, or you pay them a visit, and just because sometimes we make them feel isolated too, and then the stigma to everything else, they make them feel like they're less of a society. The stigma to it, they may not just want to come down to the institution to get the support that they need, for everybody think, well, then this is the case. But it's really good to reach out otherwise. That will be my one of my suggestions. And I compliment the care that she did get otherwise from the staff. But as I said, additional, it will be nice too, because there are persons who go through more and they're not really willing to share because the support is not really there as it should.
What was it like for you receiving the news that your sister had taken that final step?
I was sad. I was shocked because I know sometimes she made statements, and sometimes I know she tells me things sometimes to get my attention, because she knows basically, she just know what to say sometimes. So when she told me that, I was in awe for a while. I paused because she's the kind that what she says she means most of the time. So if she says she's gonna do something, sometimes you just can't really take it for granted too, because she can't do it. But when she did it, I didn't know she was really that would take it so serious to the extent to just really go and do it.
Ellica, I want to bring you in here for a little bit on actually surviving this experience. As a family member, as a friend, a close friend, a lover, even you've gotten to that point in this relationship where this person has made that decision. You are unable to talk them down. How do you cope? What do you do to cope?
Okay, so first of all, before I go forward to there, I really want to bring in the part about stigma, because that is something that is very relevant in today's society. We have a lot of persons who are afraid or unwilling to reach out for help because they don't want that level of stigma attached to them, especially when it comes to mental health. There is a lot of stigma surrounding mental health, and we don't want it to get to a place where persons are so afraid to seek help that they go in the direction of taking their own life. So I'm always happy for forums like this where we can start normalizing the conversation about mental health and the fact that a lot of people, they are having suicidal thoughts. They're even having declines in their mental health, and they are afraid to reach out for help in fear of. What I want to do is encourage friends, encourage family members, encouraging lovers, brothers and sisters, everybody. If you feel like you have somebody that may be having those thoughts, who may have tried and not gone fully through with it, reach out for assistance for them. It is there and it is available through mental health, but because of the stigma that we've created in this society, where if you go to mental health, you're quote unquote crazy, people tend to shy away from that sort of help, and we're encouraging you because sometimes it may be way beyond your control and you're in need of that assistance or in need of medication just to help you get past that depressive moment. For family members, friends, lovers, I cannot begin to imagine the struggle it is to lose somebody, especially having to know that you had such a close-knit relationship. They're here today, we're smiling, we're laughing, we're telling jokes, we're sharing feelings, and then the next day they are not gone. They are gone, sorry. And people, obviously, they're gonna have to grieve. And grief is a process, whereas there is no specific way as to how you are going to grieve. But you are going to have to make time to come to terms with they're no longer here and figure out how am I going to move forward, but keep their memory intact and keep that love I had for them intact. And basically, it's for persons to lean on the coping mechanisms that they have had before. So if you are a Christian person and prayer is where you lean to, then lean to that. Engage in that. If you're a person who is active, who loves to exercise, do that. Engage in the things that previously brought you comfort as just a way to go through it, because there's nothing I can say to say I come here today and I'm going to give you a list of things to do and you're going to do that, and then all of a sudden things are going to be better. Everybody is going to have to take that moment to grieve in ways that are particular to them, and making time to just cherish the memories that you had, and making time for that person in your life, that making time for the persons in your life that are there. So making time to talk about, let's say you lost somebody, speaking about them with other family members. So having that conversation with, let's say, your mother, your father, other friends who they had in common, the positive memories that you would have had with them. You may want to have a memorial. You may want to have something in your home that you can dedicate to them. So having that time to just spend in their memory and spend enjoying what you would have had. But also making time to understand that this has happened. And although it is unfortunate, how do I move forward from here while still cherishing the fact that they were in my life and they would have contributed so much to me as an individual?
I see Keisha Poyer here reflecting on stigma as well. And I'm hearing that resonating particularly in the last point. Some people might feel, oh my God, my friend, my daughter, my son, my brother, my sister killed, himself, herself. I don't want to talk about it. What I'm hearing from you, and guide me accordingly, is that's not necessarily the mentally healthy way to go about it. No?
Mentally healthy way to go about which aspect?
Dealing with the entire experience. It's not necessarily for me to close the lid on it, but to rather find a way to deal with it, to process it.
And people processing it, it's going to be different. To tell somebody that they should not share their story, or they shouldn't talk about it, or they should basically push it under the rug, it's very insensitive.
Sure.
People are going to go through processes in the manner that is comfortable for them. And if talking about the person that you lost makes you comfortable, then that is what you do. You make time to have that conversation about losing that person if that is what is going to get you through. What I will tell people is be mindful so that you do not, like 6 months later, 12 months later, you are still stuck in that place of just constantly replaying that story and what would have happened. But if you want to talk about it in that instance, that is going to be something healthy to do. One, it helps you to process what you're going through. And two, by telling that story, you may help somebody in the process who may be at that point where they're saying, okay, I am going to take my own life. Hearing that story, listening to other people's pain, their care, what could have been done differently, can be an avenue for them to listen and process and say, you know what, I don't want this to be me, or I don't want this to be my family members. How can I reach out for help? What is something that you would suggest for me? So putting a lid on it and putting it under the rug, I would say, is never the way to go.
I will tell you from personal experience, and let me just again thank everybody who is joining us. Remember, if you want to join the conversation, ask a question, share your thoughts, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, just drop it in the chat and we'll pop it up on the screen. But from personal experience, I find I have to agree with you, both of you, in the sense of having that access to help. If you're familiar with my personal story, you will not at one point in my life I endured a nervous breakdown. And I remember, Camille, I was speaking about this with you recently. I remember in the lead up to that, I was at a point where I recognized this is not really the way my mind would normally work. You know, I never really at that particular point was getting any sort of downtime. Like I would go to sleep and I would wake up realizing that whatever mental problem I was trying to solve before closing my eyes and dozing off was still being processed in my head, you know? And I was at a point where I had to call my mom to take me to a mental health hygienist, get me to somebody who could look in there and try to figure out what was going on. At the time, I went to a private doctor because I think too, as you mentioned, there was that stigma that was attached to the mental health institution. As a matter of fact, I didn't even think of the mental health institution as the place that I ought to have gone for, you know, to seek the evaluation, because for me at that point, you know, that's where crazy people went, you know, in that very discriminatory sense of the phrase. So I'm just saying all of that to say it really is important to go seek that help if you ever find that you or somebody you know isn't quite acting right. Yeah. Camille, I want to bring you back in and chat with you a little bit more. See here. Keisha Poy just jumped in there with something. JP, I remember seeing you that way. It's really good to see how life has changed. God bless. Blessings. Camille, I want to bring you back in quite in a very quick time, but we are due a break. So let me just go and pay some homage again to our partners, Kensip Solutions, J&R Designs. I think it is. I may have gotten that wrong. Forgive me. And of course, Diamond Groceries Incorporated. We'll be right back, guys. I did get that wrong. My apologies again. Genre Designs. And guys, if you never did know, now you know. Diamond Groceries in Diamond, open until 8 in the evening. Of course, you can get your fresh baked bread and pastries and all them goodness out there, son. Regular supermarket goods. And of course, in Caliaco, they go till 9 those evenings. All right. Camille, you are a soon-to-be published author. You've been working on a particular kind of book for a while. I want you to jump in and speak a little bit about the book. And there's a reason I'm asking you to do that. I don't want to preempt it and get it wrong. I mean, this is a live broadcast. I can't go back and edit it. So I'd prefer if you come in and speak a little bit about it, and then I'll come back in and connect the dots. All right?
Okay. Okay. I'm presently I'm about to publish a book, The Glimpse of God's A Glimpse of God's Love in the Midst of the Storm. And interestingly, when I started that book, I started the book last year, and it took me about 4 months to pretty much write it. There were a few persons who believed that I could have done it, and prophetically was spoken that, I have the, this was one of my abilities. And writing the book in the midst of what I was going through, it was just, I had to more or less, I'm like writing, but I'm like writing out in the midst of a storm. And I went through different challenges as well. And as I I was able to not just only the fact that I went through the challenges, but um, so based on the book, based on me writing this book, it's like writing the challenges. Yes, I'm able to reflect on what different persons in the Bible went through as well. Different, like for instance, Job. And we know Job went through a lot, and in the midst of everything, he did not give up on God. He trusts God in the midst of everything. Even though he lost his family, he lost everything. And we see to the end, he was rewarded even more for what he may have lost. And for me, I was able to incorporate all that and even applying my own personal experience, because the book is based on my personal experience and how I'm able to incorporate different persons from the Bible, as well as how I prayed out in the midst of everything. And to the end, I was able to come up with reflections or the different things that I use to apply to help make the situation to not going into that situation again. So it's like trust. It's taking you to different phases, but you're not going through that particular aspect again because you have already prayed your way out through it. But in the midst of it, I actually did wrote about my one of the persons who wanted to be a part of the book was my aunt, but she died in the midst while I was writing it. I wrote it at that time, but I had to go back and dedicate it back to her, as well as for my sister. She wanted to be a part of the book, so she has to be a part of it as well. So I must commend the persons who encouraged me even into writing a book. And, my coach, Sharon Addison, who really believed that I could have done it. She was really backing me through it all. And persons like Inca, a few other persons who really did. But I know these are two persons who really stood out for me, knowing that I could have actually, along with my parents, who know that I could do it. And as I said, I will not encourage anyone to give up in the midst of whatever they're going through. It's a process. And at the end of the day, you're coming out stronger than how you go in. So for my sister, I know I used to encourage my sister because spiritually, I will encourage her. We pray together. That's what we will do some of that. So I know many persons will be questioning to why my sister would have done that. Why? Yes, we do have whys, and we all are humans. We do have whys. But at the end of the day, we have to focus on what we could do to help make it better and not focus in on why. It's even painful hearing persons asking you why up to today, presently. But it's just the fact that at the end of the day, you don't dwell on the past. You try to move forward from the past. We all do have a past. No matter how good you try to be, no matter how good you try to make you put it out there, we all do have a past. And from the past, it does help us to be better individuals. And at the end of the day, we're able to help others, even if moving forward, because that's the main thing. Sometimes we go through tests. And not that we are bad persons or we go through tests to make us look bad in the end, but at the end of the day, it's to strive to be better persons and be able to help others. So for me, in the midst of everything, I stood strong. I'm, as I say, I'm grieving, and with the book, I really like persons to get a hold of it. It will be soon. It will be on Amazon soon, and persons, if they want to publish, to buy, have their copy, they can go through PayPal or they can go through Amazon. But very soon it will be out there on the market. It's not just to be there, but just to encourage yourself. As I say, I've been through my challenges, and even in the midst of writing the book, it helped make me even stronger as I go. And yes, I had to write out of the storm. As my coach, one day my coach and I was having this conversation, and she said, Camille, you have to write out of it. Because it's just like the storm is the storm. You know how a storm is. A storm, ain't nobody get you a storm like that. Ain't no good, ain't know how good you are. Ain't no storm you pass through and you'll just fly through. You be fooling yourself, because it's either coming back, and when it come back and it even cause more damage. So for me, whatever you're going through, I'll encourage you, whether or not mental health, whatever it is. This for me, one of my strongest points is praying. And praying really helped bring me through a lot that I'm going through, even in this time that I'm grieving the loss of my sister. Because it's a phase, as Elisa say, these are things that it don't just happen one time and it dismiss everything. But with the book, I will really know that you will be encouraged one way or the other, because it's just the different. You could even use your own experience to see, you're not where you were. Many of us could attest to that. You're not where you were, but who, at the end of the day, just by you being so, studious now, or you decide to just drop everything. No, it's a phase. So I'll encourage everyone out there who is listening, be encouraged, stand strong, have faith. For persons who have suicidal thoughts, I know it's not easy with this pandemic and with the loss of jobs, and with everything else. It's not easy. I may not take suicide, but it's different coping mechanism. And as I say, prayer has been one of my sole foundation, and reading the Bible and speaking with others. And, even by me encouraging someone, because as I said, I do my coaching as well. I do mentoring, at the same time. It does, as I say, yeah, so just be encouraged, be strong. Don't look at what people have to say. People say things to you to make you feel like you're a loser or you're nothing better, or you could not be better. But as I tell you, if
I
you get a
see,
hold of the book,
I see Elika smiling when you said when we spoke about writing through the storm, right? And I know you enjoy seeing that manifestation
yes,
of processing this thing.
yes,
I'll come to you,
yes,
Elika, but something I was trying to figure out
yes.
is basically, was there a particular challenge that inspired you to get writing?
One of the things, I have recently migrated. I was living in Bermuda, as I know. I was a nurse. I'm a nurse, sorry. I left from St. Vincent, migrated from St. Vincent to Bermuda, and recently I migrated to the States. And me coming here, yes, we all do look at, yes, it's a greener pasture, but yes, people don't really tell you all that come with greener pastures. So everybody may say, "Oh, come to this place, yes, or come to that place, yes." But there's different stuff different things that I encounter while here, not working at that time, because then coming to here, you have to fit into what the state want in order to work here, and then at the same time, different things were happening in the family, family wise, just need the support. Otherwise, it's just different things. And from listening to my friends, some of them, going through different challenges as well. It's not just, sometimes you think you're alone in it, but there are other persons going through worse than you. So, in the midst of it, writing, I just had to, the information things were just pouring. Like I could see a book two, a part two coming. Like it was just things just pouring. I never thought I could write a book in like 4 months, and it could have been less. But it's just like the information is just pouring, And as I say, the things as we go through, it really brings out the best in you. Like, yeah, you had to go through that for you to really be where you at and for you to move forward. So for me, it's not just me getting to the top right away or getting to that phase that place right away, but me riding out, going through the different things. And as Hayden Billingy said, Storm teaches us about our vulnerabilities that need to be addressed to build the resilience that will last. And I do agree with Hayden. It is so true. So for the
Definitely.
listeners and the persons who are there, be encouraged, please, and don't, now is a time to, I don't think people take time for even say spend more time with God. Give their life to God. Make time. And nobody else could do it for you, only God. You understand? So for me, I'm not just only saying it, but I have experienced it, and I know I can't do it on my own. I had to turn to Him. He brought me to a place that I realized, no, God, I have to give you this. I have to give you my time. I have to give you it because He alone could fix everything. You could have all the money. You could have all what you think you might have had. But trust me, you have to, turning to God. For me, it was one of the turning more to Him. And as I say, this was something my sister, mind you, my sister know the word of God. Even though she took this part, she know the Bible and she know the word of God. She could have prayed. She know things, So I just wanna, just encourage you and other persons who are out there, to look at it and be positive. Oh, mind you, associate yourself with positive people, positive persons. And this too can help in healing and helping whatever you're going through. Because I know there are persons who will tell you things that make you want to just shut out and isolate. And the isolation going on already. Added to that, trust me, that won't be good. So I'm just encouraging you, just forget about the negativity. There are persons who might have negative talks, negative comments. To me, just put a block to that. Ignore that. What you need to move forward is positive thoughts, positive encouragement, positive persons who could help push you forward. You know, and as I say, I used to encourage my sister along that line. I do encourage her. She was a person who saw me as her mentor. She looked up to me as her mentor because she always, whenever I finish speaking to her, I know she used to feel encouraged. So, in not just saying it, but I know if she was here to attest to that, she would tell you.
Let me bring Ellica back in here, and I want you to contextualize your next response in the frame of this request from Keisha here. Earlier we talked about going past the top down phase. You're not able to do that. How do you cope with the aftermath of not being able to talk your loved one down from suicidal ideations? Now, though, I want you to walk us through the talk down. How do we manage that? As well as what Keisha is asking here, what sort of tips would you give to somebody who's going through a particularly rough patch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Keisha.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You can start.
Yes. Keisha, in regards to and to the listeners, and in regards to this, as I said, this phase is not if you go through the different phases of grieving and all that, it's different phases that comes into being. You have the acceptance, the denial, it's not an easy phase, right? But for me, in the midst, and as I say, I must thank God for the comfort, because He's the one that give us the comfort. Try not to dwell on it. Try not to be if I'm to refer to Keisha question, if you're going through rough time, try not to dwell on the things that that might make you feel down, or because we tend to go back on our past. If you're going through your past, you just your past, that's what it called the past. It should be something behind you. Yes, there might times you may have to refer to it at some point, but try to let go the past. Try to let go the things that may hurt you. Try to let go, the as it says, stigma. The different things that you have to just learn to let go. Try not to, associate yourself with persons who are gonna just remind you of those things. Some conversation, you just avoid them. If you're gonna bring back negative thought or things of the sad memories, don't get involved in it. You listen music, you pray, you read a Bible, you read a book, you take a walk, you do things of that nature. If it's something that you love, a hobby you love, you do it. A habit, you do it. But I would encourage not to dwell on the things that will bring back memories, bad memories to you. Yes, we are human, and sometimes this is just one way of expressing it and getting over. Sometimes we just have to speak about it. That too will help to relieve some of the things that we go through sometimes. So speaking about it will definitely help too as well, but not speaking it to any and anybody, mind you. Speaking it to the right persons, whether it's a counselor and somebody who have experienced it with you. Yes, because you need not anybody who to just come and give you two nice words that they think you may want to hear at that time. No, we don't need that. you know um as Keisha was saying, not everybody know the different phases of grieving, and there are about there are a few that I could make mention to her as denial, shock, denial, guilt, um, things of that nature still, and even acceptance, because most times we don't accept, even though when it happened there's stuff that you wonder if you could have do different, what you could have do better to help somebody, or like for me, I do have guilt because I think about what I could have done, what could I've said more to her to make her not do what she did. But this was just the part that she chose at that time. But sometimes the guilt may come. So there are different things, and I have to let go that guilt part, and knowing that this is something that she did, but at the same time, that does not make I will not even point a finger to say, well, then this person no, I won't encourage anybody to do that, because we all do go through things. We do all. I can tell you, we all do go through different things. It's not everybody would be woman or man enough to speak it or say it. We bite it, or we don't express it. But it's good when you express it. You feel better at the end of the day. So I just want to encourage you guys out there that love yourself. You have to love you. Love you. That's important too. Loving you for who you are. You're trying to be other persons or trying to please the public. It's never. It's not. It's never something good. Trying to please others. I don't know if you want me to answer Keisha's question.
I wanna have Ellica come in here for a little bit.
Okay.
We're getting some love for you and your book here. Blessings, everybody. Just to let you know, guys, if you're on the live and you do not comment, we don't know you're there, because we're powered by StreamYard. We're simulcasting, multicasting, actually. So you would need to actually say a word or two, right? Ellica, while you respond and crouch your response, here goes another question for you as well. Jazzy Jazz is asking, how do you deal with constantly trying to uplift a person who may deal with that? Well, I'm guessing these negative ideations, but it's also draining you because your encouragement will only help for a moment.
That's true.
Yeah, dealing with persons who are having the constant thoughts, it can be very distressing.
True.
We live in a society where everybody is going through their own problems, and sometimes it may become a bit too overwhelming for persons to seek help. As Keisha did state, seeking professional help, that is very important. Like, I understand wanting to be there for a person, wanting to encourage them, telling them that you're there for them if they want to talk. But in on all honesty and in reality, not everybody might be able to handle the content. So what I'm encouraging persons to do, yes, be there for your friends, but also monitor yourselves to know when this becomes too overwhelming, because sometimes for ourselves we don't pay attention to the fact that we are losing interest or we are shutting down because we're constantly exposed to a particular person saying, you know what, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think that I can handle it anymore. And there might be a day when you say, you know what, you're always saying that and nothing never happens. And then that is the day something happens and then you are riddled with guilt. So understand when it becomes too overwhelming for you. When it comes to suicidal ideation, I always encourage persons to get professional help. Get professional help. Let that person go to the therapist, go to the doctor, go to the counselor where interventions can be provided. In some instances, it might be situational, where persons find themselves in a particular situation and that is what is contributing them to them wanting to kill themselves, and then it can be physiological. And when it comes in that instance, that person is going to require medication, and that is going to be at the intervention of a doctor. That is beyond what the layman is going to be able to provide. So if you have somebody in this situation, first of all, ask them, how can I help? How can I be there for you? The one thing I would encourage you to do, don't promise them that you are going to keep that secret. That is the one secret that you don't keep for your best friend or your sister or your brother. A friend that
Amen.
shares that they are about to take their life, that is something that you share with the relevant person so that they would get them the assistance that they need. Your help can come in the form of listening. Your help can come in the form of who to call. Your help can come in the form of accompanying them to get the interventions and the help that they need. But make sure that you take a proactive effort with them into getting help and not just let us live with it and then hopefully eventually it might go away. Make an assertive effort to see what can be done, what interventions can be provided, admitting that this is too much for me to handle and I think that you need to seek help from X, Y, and Z. And it's become a very commonplace thing where you hear persons say, that's one question that we ask persons, have you ever had thoughts of hurting yourself? And it's something that you hear, yes, quite often too. But it's never I seek intervention at that moment. So I am encouraging that person, if that comes up, seek intervention for that.
And just to backtrack a bit, Matthews, not everyone will be honest enough to tell you that too. Sometimes
Yeah.
people tell you things that you go to the doctor, and these are questions they ask you here. Are you being abused? You may not want to say yes because then you're afraid of what might be the outcome next.
Yeah.
So there are things that, yes, it's easier said than done. And at the same time, it's just, putting your own, you just have to just imagine they'll be honest enough. But as I said, there are some persons who will not really say that, or they will not, they will not, they will not want the help because they're afraid of, yes, they may have to go to the mental home, or they may have to, different things could happen. They could lose the children. So there are different things persons will not be open to actually say, even though or you may see it may be a problem, which could be overwhelming. Yes.
And that's
All right.
correct. Sometimes people just don't want to get that level of intervention that they require.
Yes.
So as family members, and do we can get for persons, but at the end of the day,
Okay. We seem to be losing Miss Matthews at this point.
assistance for them where they are taken to the hospital.
Okay. You sort of broke up there for a little bit. We're a bit over time, guys. I want to thank you so very much for joining us. All of you, our audience, a very great and awesome audience. A very beautiful panel tonight. Thank you so very much. We're not quite done yet. I just want to pay one more set of homage to our partners, and then we come back with some final thoughts before we get out of here tonight. All right, guys? We'll be right back. And while we say thank you, I really need to shout out my good friends over there at Why Idol, the unique, interlocking dreadlock extension folks, them over there. So, if you notice, the hairdos looking kind of spankadocious this evening. That I just want to give them some love for taking care of that for us, right? And also remind you, if you're going to do supermarkets, guys, and I know you're doing supermarkets a whole lot in St. Vincent, definitely check out the good folks at Diamond Groceries Incorporated with branches on the Diamond Estate and in Caliacor. They open multiple times on Sundays too, just in case you run out of something when you're cooking and thing and you have to run out to the store. All right. Let's see here. Jazzy is saying awesome. Movet Nash is saying great program. Keisha. The thing is, Keisha says also, my phone is gone. Baby.
Keisha said, the thing is, if you don't have the support from a governmental level, community level, and then trust is not there. And then the trust is not there. And that happens sometimes in that there is not that level of support. But I just want persons to know that interventions are available through the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. You can reach out to the doctor at your clinic. You can reach out to persons at Marian House, psychologists, counselors at the hospital, reaching out to the pastor in your church. There is no one straight direction to getting assistance. You can reach out to the persons that you trust.
Good point, Keisha. I really that was a good point.
Okay, so I have to run backup units here, guys. My main camera decided to not recharge. It just cut out on me. Thank you so very much for filling there. Please, your final thoughts as we proceed to wrap up.
Well, I must say, I certainly do enjoy this program, and I know persons will be encouraged tonight and know that they have the necessary different avenue, the different things or the different support that mechanisms that are there in order when they need that help. And as anybody can have that thought, suicidal thought. Some may not voice it, but whenever you heard someone mention it to you, just encourage them, to be on the positive side. And as I say, it may be easier said, but it's just finding different ways of going about it and encouraging them, because depends on what someone is going through. It's you telling me not to do this may be easier, but it might be harder to deal with the actual problem itself. So we do know with the pandemic and the different challenges that are happening now, we have to be each brother's keeper and to encourage someone out there, show love. To me, the pandemic has shown more isolation. It makes me feel like there's no love anymore like before. Everybody has turned to their digital. Everybody is more into the device. You go for a dinner, everybody's on their phone. Ain't nobody talking like they used to. And I won't want to say the pandemic alone did that, but these are things that are happening, and it takes just a word of encouragement, just to say something out there to somebody. It helped them. It may go a long way. It's just like giving somebody $1. You may not think that they need $1 because then you think they should have, but no, it's sometimes they really don't have $1. So for me, looking down on others, trying not to make yourself look better than anyone else. It's not about better, being better, because today for me, tomorrow might be for you. So it's always good to encourage each other, be each other's, be somebody, brother out there or sister. Yes, we know the pandemic, they said social distancing. Yes, we're social distancing, but that doesn't mean we still can't show love, and for persons really who out there who might have given up, who think that there's no other hope, please don't give up on praying, because prayer is the number one. When you may console in a friend, trust me, when you console in God, it's there, it's done. It's a done thing. You're not going to hear it back, but you're going to see the blessings that are going to come. So I'm just going to encourage you, and for persons there who, who have known of my book to be to be out there soon, please, when it's out there, please don't hesitate to get a copy, and get one for someone else who may want to be encouraged, and be blessed. Be blessed. By reading it, you'll be blessed.
Absolutely. Ellica, final thoughts?
Okay, so I would just like to encourage persons. You're going to have friends, you're going to have family members who may be struggling for whatever reason or the other. Be there for them for as much as you can. There are going to be instances where it becomes too much for you. I am encouraging you to reach out and help them get that assistance. Sometimes we often overwhelm ourselves with the problems of other persons, and then we get to a point where it becomes too overwhelming for us ourselves, and we fall back, and that person is left in a further distress situation because they're not getting the assistance that they need, and that can turn into a life or death situation. Suicide is a very serious thing. If you have somebody that is having those thoughts, if you have somebody that is expressing those thoughts, I'm encouraging you to encourage them to reach out for help. Let them know that you can be there for them through that. But let us normalize having that conversation where getting the mental health check is okay, where getting the mental health check is something that you work into your regular rotation. Just like how you would go out there when something is wrong and you would get your check at the clinic to see if you have diabetes, hypertension. You would go to the lab and run your 500 tests to see, okay, what is this particular problem? If you find that you are starting to decline in any manner from what you're accustomed to doing, make it and have a proactive stance towards going out there and seeking the help that you need. When it comes to mental health, mental illness, suicide isn't the only thing. Persons can suffer from things. They can have different stressors within their life that is making the situation hard for them, that may further take them down that road of not wanting to live. But making the effort to let persons know that you need to check in, you need to get some intervention, because this is not the you I'm accustomed to. And sometimes we take this for granted that people can see when they start to decline, but it sometimes takes the person looking in from the outside to say, okay, Jiffy, you don't look like the person that you are, the bubbly, joyous, bringing energy to the place that you always are. And I've been noticing this for an extended period of time. Sometimes you have to be that mirror where you say, okay, I'm looking at you and this just isn't it. So I need you to get some level of help. I need you to talk to somebody. If it's not me, reach out to somebody else, because persons are there. They are there, they are able, and they are willing to assist. So if you're having those thoughts, or if you're having that decline in your mental health, reach out for that assistance.
And just would like to add, even at this time too, we still have to remember when we do have persons, as we look as suicidals, suicide survivors, we are still in the process of grieving, and not just us, but persons who may lost loved ones through suicide. We have to still give support, because that too is important. That too could have other implications with this as well, because then there are persons who may grieve more, and we never really take the
Yeah.
time to show some comfort, console, and me being here to encourage, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I was still, just for us to still show support, still show love, show because we all do need it. And as
Yeah.
what I remember, even persons who die from natural death or from different illnesses, they all do go through phases of grieving, as well as persons with suicide loss. So it's no different grieving when it comes to that aspect of grieving. We have to look at it and treat individuals or persons with that kind of respect and that love, because we dismiss it, and we tend to look at it, well, they're gonna be fine, yes, but they need the love, they need the comfort and the support as well. So we should not really make that part go on, you know left unattended.
All right. All right. Ladies, I want to thank you so very much for sharing with us tonight. I am sure our audience really do appreciate all that you have had to share. I know I certainly do. I've learned a bit, and I'm hoping they have done just the same as well. Camille, I'm wishing you again the very best of successes
Thank
when your
you.
book does launch. Please let us know.
Yes.
Let us set up a nice little situation updates on the whole situation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Uh, Ellica, as always, I'm thanking you for being my very most favorite mental health hygienist. And I do look
Thank
forward to you
you for
restarting
having
your
me.
good morning, folks. I miss
I'm
that.
gonna try.
I miss
I'm just work upon work upon work. I am exhausted,
I know, I
but
know,
I'm gonna try and get
I
back
know
to
how it
it.
is. Guys, you do stay tuned to our platform. We will keep sharing, keep providing you with our situation updates, both here on the JP Shimon Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. Whatever you do, wherever you go, I'm asking you, please be blessed and stay beautiful. Until we meet again next week, guys. We're gone.